What's going up, guys? It's Sheeny the Great back for another Write With Me Wednesday. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little intro. That was me beginning to type up the poetry books. And I have one finished. Actually, I just realized it's not finished. I'm gonna put like a little design right here. So aside from that, this one is finished. It was definitely a lot of fun making these. Like, honestly, like just like hearing the noise of the typewriter going and just keep writing. It was a lot of fun, and I had fun making the poems and putting the books together and everything. It's definitely kind of hard on the typewriter because at first I took into account the orientation. So if I want something printed on here, I can't sit it in the typewriter this way. I have to flip it this way and then flip it this way. So when it rolls out like this, it gets printed right side up on the opposite side. So I took that into account, and I had to print on like multiple sides of the paper because these are folded in half pieces of paper. So making this one, this is the first one I made. Making this one, I took that into account, and all of it's oriented the right way. But I forgot that when you're putting a book together with pages folded in half, the first page is also the last page, and the second page is also the second to the last page. And it keeps going like that until you get to the middle. So I didn't think about that. So instead of just having a book that opens in the middle like it's supposed to, I have another part here that opens, and it just makes it kind of, I have to staple it twice instead of just once, and it just makes it not fold open as well. But that's pretty much the only thing that's wrong with this. I will consider getting a long arm stapler because stapling this was freaking hard. I had to use a regular stapler because my big ass staple gun, I stapled this and went through all the pages, through a notebook that I had underneath it, and then through my desk, and it stapled this to a notebook to my desk. So that was annoying. So then I had to use the regular stapler, but then I had to crumple these pages up, and I don't want to do that on like the final ones. I think this was just my test one, so it's okay that it's crumpled up, but on the ones that I send out to people, I want it to look nice. So I might have to do that, but I did take some time and figure out which way I need to type things up to get it oriented the correct way and have the pages fold open in the middle like it's supposed to. So I think I figured all that out. But yeah, I thought I would just go through and kind of explain the meaning behind these poems. So, the poetry book itself is called Epiphany. And really, when I started writing this, I didn't have a theme in mind. I didn't have an idea. I just started writing poems. And I figured, like, as I was writing, I kind of found out that I did have somewhat of a theme going on. And they were all kind of, all this poetry is kind of about realizing things, like an epiphany, pretty much, which is why I named it that. But this is all like, coming out of college, I was really confused. I was, pretty much everything that I had ever worked for my entire life was to get a degree in college. So everything I worked for in elementary school was to do well in middle school. Everything in middle school was to do well in high school. Everything in high school was to get scholarships so I could do well in college. And then I got my degree, and like everything I had ever known in life was accomplished. So I had no clue what to do. And I just fell in love with writing, and I decided that's what I want to do for my career. And these are all just epiphanies that I had throughout that time, figuring out what I want to do and figuring out where I want to go and how I want my life to be. So this is a compilation of things that just I realized throughout that time of confusion. And, you know, the first one is about how things aren't how you perceive them, which was a huge realization for me. We have this kind of concept or like idea of how the world is, but really it's so much more than that, and you really don't know. Your view of the world is not the whole world as it is. There's thousands of different aspects to the earth and to the world and to our environment and the community, and it's so intricate, so your idea of the world is not necessarily true. And the next one is morality. I was reflecting a lot on morals and stuff like that, and that played off because the world isn't how I see it. my morals aren't true, if that makes sense. So that was the next one. There's another one, couple more just like my ideas on the world were changing a lot. So that's what a lot of these are about, which is discovering my own personal values and reevaluating those values based on the realization that I had that the world is completely different than I thought it was. And then so most of them are like that. And then the last couple are a lot more uplifting, I would say, and a lot more calm, I guess. And so it's kind of like this reads out as a story almost, where I'm just like in this confused state, and then I'm having these epiphanies, and then in the middle I kind of have that final epiphany, like, oh, this is what life is, and then at the end kind of discovering values based on that, and discovering how I want my life based on that, and kind of coming to these personal conclusions about how my life is and where I want to go and what I want to do with it. And this is poetry, so I'm not like in these, I'm not saying, well, this is how I want my life to be, and this is what I thought life was, and now it's not. So it is more poetic than that, and I'm pretty happy with it, especially the very last poem. I kind of wanted it to be my banger, but I'm pretty happy with the last one, and I think there's a good variety. There's not a lot of, in this specific poetry book, there's not a whole lot of like, I don't know, romantic wording or phrasing. There's not a whole lot of like, it's not typical poetry, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but it is poetry in the sense that it's not straightforward, and it makes you think, so I consider it poetry. But that's pretty much it. I guess I'll flip through and just show you what it looks like. I have the title page, and like I said, I'll have a design right here, and then written by China Patterson. The next page, I have a quote. I quoted myself. Don't know if that's too douchebaggy, but I hope it's not. Then it just starts off with the poems. I have the first one there, and they just keep going through like this. And I typed all this on my typewriter, and that was really hard because you can't have any typos. And I think in this specific one, there's 4 mistakes. There's one where I wrote the word exist instead of coexist, but that's not noticeable and it kind of flows anyway. I just meant to write the word coexist. There's one where the spacing is not perfect. I meant to drop down another line and I didn't, but again, that's not too noticeable. And then there's 2 times where I actually did type the wrong letter, but I hit the backspace and then typed the correct letter over it. So one of them, you can kind of tell it looks kind of smudged, but the other one, it's almost flawless. Like, you can't really tell. But that's kind of part of it. I mean, I wanted this to be authentic. It's on my typewriter. It takes the fog and mirrors away. It's like just true to myself and true to my mistakes and true to the process, because the process isn't perfect. So I kind of love that. And that's what it is. So I do have a couple people already message me with their addresses that want one. So if you want one, definitely let me know your address and I'll send you one for sure. If you don't want to send me your address, you're kind of weirded out by that, just send me an email or something. I'll email you a digital copy. But yeah, I will keep making these for as long as people want them. So if you see this video 6 months later and you decide you want one, that's totally okay. I have the file. I can type one up for you. So, yeah, I'm excited to get these out there, and I had so much fun making these. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll definitely be sending these out soon. I have more to type up, and I'll get the format correct, and then I'll send those out. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a project that you're working on, no matter what that means for you, whether that be some kind of creative project or some kind of analytical project or some kind of lifestyle project. It's just important to work on things and to better yourself and to figure out things about yourself and to try new things. And it's a lot of fun, and you should always be working towards something. So I hope you guys are doing that. And I really, really enjoyed making these again, like I said. But I hope you guys want one, so let me know if you do, and I'll send them out. So stay motivated, stay inspired, and stay happy. See ya.